Reading of the meeting notice, please.
The Board of Directors of the School District of Erie, Pennsylvania, and the Board of Directors of the City of Erie Regional Career and Technical School will meet in regular session on Wednesday, March 18th, 2015, in the auditorium at East High School, 1001 Atkins Street, at 6:00 p.m. by request of the President, Robert S. Casillo.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Shenley? Here. Mr. Spagel?
Here.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Here. Mr. Brzezinski?
Excused.
Thank you. Mr. Fabrizi?
Here.
Mr. Harkins?
Here.
Mrs. McNair? Here. Mr. Casillo?
Excused.
Mr. Petrunger?
Here. Pledge of Allegiance led by Jonah Williams, 6th grade student from Emerson Gridley Elementary School, introduced by Ms. Fabian Muir, principal, followed by a moment of silence for Robert Zielinski, a retired engineer who passed away on February 25th, 2015, and Ruth Geddes Wright, Solicitor Wright's mother, who passed away on March 5th, 2015. Ms. Muir?
Good evening, Mr. Petrunger, school board directors, Dr. Badams, Mrs. Sadali, Erie School District staff, and the Erie community members who are here tonight. I'm Fabian Muir, the principal of Emerson Gridley, and it is with great pride that I tell you about one of our exemplary students. Jonah Williams is a 6th grade student at Emerson Gridley Elementary School. He is the son of Lee and Mary Kay Williams. He has a brother, Elijah, and 2 sisters, Hannah and Lydia. Jonah enjoys seeing his teachers and friends at school every day. His favorite subjects are science and social studies. Jonah is currently a co-captain of the safety patrols and attends the Gears program after school. He's also active in sports. Recently, he became a member of our basketball team for the 2nd year in a row. He also plays soccer for a premier team and enjoys playing football at recess. Jonah is often chosen by his teachers to help others and to represent his fellow classmates. As for plans for his future, he hopes to get into a good college and become a professional soccer player. Again, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Jonah Williams from Emerson Gridley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go right around.
All right, dude. I know you were a little nervous. You can smile now and relax, all right? You're looking good.
Right now, I'd like to present a certificate of appreciation presented to Timothy Kernahan, our Central Tech High School member here, for your service as a student representative to the Board of Directors of Erie Public Schools for February and March of 2015. Announcement of executive sessions held on March 11th in Conference Room 3 at the Dr. Barker Center from 6:51 to 7:06 p.m. for legal matters, and on March 18th in the Library of East High from 5:09 to 5:43 p.m. for personnel and legal matters. Yes. Now we have hearing of citizens. Persons desiring to speak for 5 minutes must submit the request in writing to the Secretary's office at least 1 week prior to the board meeting. All others may speak for 3 minutes. 5-minute speakers, we have 2. Mr. William McDonald, Erie, speaking to the top of Erie School District business. Mr. McDonald?
Good evening, school board members. My name is McDonald. My property is 19th and Reed. I have a few issues. I'm not going to say I want to discuss with you. I just want to make you aware that they're on my mind. And if I don't let you know what's on my mind, then I'm at fault there because I'm a little bit too quiet for you. But ain't nothing quiet about me. If everybody was like me, this room would be, they'd be out in the hall. But they're not concerned. They're not concerned until a mule come out of the barn. Then it's too late then. I want to ask you about these taxes. If they keep going up, people are going to lose their property. I think the property owners have too much weight on their backs now. I think you should find another avenue to travel about those taxes. I just got mine paid up for last year, and I got my statements for this year already. Boy, they get them to you. They're not late. They want you to know where you are. Of course, I know where I'm at, and it's so good that my money will spend anywhere. I can't just go anywhere, but my money can. You're going to hire some teachers and peoples. I think you're going about that the wrong way. I think you should go back and get some of those teachers that you laid off. I think they deserve the first opportunity for those jobs. I don't think you should find some new people. If those are still good teachers, and all your teachers should be good, we shouldn't have no bad teachers out there teaching our kids. A kid told me, and more than one told me, teacher tell them, you're not going to be nothing. That's not nothing to tell a kid. I don't care who you are. If you're telling a kid that, then you don't need that job. You shouldn't be in that job. You're not going to be nothing. That's wrong. If that kid ain't going to be nothing, let him find out for himself. But tell him you could be anything you want to be. Encourage him, not discourage him. I don't know. I don't know how you could tell a kid something like that. You're not going to be nothing. You're not much if you're telling that kid that. Encourage him. We got enough kids falling out of school. They're falling out like, I don't know, flies. I don't know why I don't know. But the foreign kids, they're just trying to eat up all of this education they can. They're not falling out. I don't see why our taxes going up, though. We don't have that many kids in school, but taxes are going up. It don't make sense to me. It just don't make sense to me. I wouldn't mind paying more taxes if I could see that our kids are being taught, they're improving, they're striving, they're moving up. But they're not, they're falling back, and that don't make sense. I think you better check your teachers out. But then it's not just the teachers. It's the parents at home, too. A lot of them, if you don't want to see your kid do better, I don't understand it. I want to see mine do better. I like to see all kids do better. Go try to be something, try to get somewhere. The jail is full of kids. When you get out of school, some of them get in trouble while they're in school, but over in Ohio, when you get 18, all of that stuff that you did back there is behind you. They give you a new start. They don't do that over here, and I think you should think about that. When you're a kid, you haven't developed yet. Your mind haven't developed. And some of us, our minds never develop. Because some of you up there, your minds ain't developed yet. Look, our kids are our greatest asset. And if we don't teach them, what do we have to look forward to? They don't want to be bothered with you anyway. A lot of kids don't. They want to put you in the home. That's the wrong way to go. But if you bring them up right, they don't want you out of their sight when you get old. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? You better listen to somebody, because you don't have it all up
Okay,
there.
Ms.
In fact, some
McDonald.
of you don't have nothing up there.
Your time's up, sir.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
But listen
Yes.
to me a little bit, though.
Mr.
Mr. McDonald, we normally don't engage people at the podium, but every once in a while, I'd like to have a conversation with you. I just wanted to offer a couple things. A lot of what you said, I'm sure everybody up here agrees with. But one thing I just wanted to make sure you were aware of, that all the teachers that got laid off, we have rehired all of them over the last 3 years.
They're back?
So they're all back. Yep, we had a couple of retirements. Over 70 people left last year, so there was room to bring even more back. So just so you and the public know, all of our teachers who were furloughed either found jobs elsewhere or have been rehired. So that's why we're doing the open interviews.
Okay. I appreciate that. I wasn't aware of that, you know. I thank you all, though.
Thank you.
You're doing the best you can, I guess. Thanks. Keep on trying.
Our second speaker is Ms. Geraldine Tate of Erie, speaking to the topic of school taxes.
Good evening, Board. My name is Geraldine Tate. I live in the city of Erie. I'm here today because I'm concerned about the school taxes that may be going up on the homeowner's property. I feel that we have come out of our pockets for increased taxes enough within the last few years, whether it's city, county, or school taxes. The people can't hardly make it because everything is going up. I know that you have not approved the taxes as of yet. That's why I'm here today, to let you know that we, the people, can't stand another increase of taxes. Once it's approved, there is no turning back. They will never go down. There's retirees and senior citizens that can't pay their gas bills, electric bills, because of all the taxes put on homeowners. My homeowners have, well, many homeowners have abandoned their homes because of they cannot pay their taxes. I'll be retiring soon, and I don't want to have to abandon my home because I can't pay my taxes. I believe that I'm speaking for many of the people in this particular school district, the city of Erie. If at all possible, I'm asking that you would consider other ways to fund the budget to meet the needs of the school district. Raising taxes are hurting us, the homeowners, but it's also affecting the many children that live in the homes of the people that are paying taxes. Monies that are being used to buy the children's clothes, shoes, food, and to just plain help them live. I can understand your need, but I would like you to think about the many needs of the families, retired people and senior citizens that are on fixed incomes, and just people in general that have worked to live, are paying regular monthly bills. For some of us who are still paying mortgages, when our taxes go up, our mortgages go up, and we cannot afford that. I'm here because we are real people trying to live our lives in a real down-to-earth way. I was always told by my parents, if you don't like something, go to the source, not to someone that can't do anything about it. So I'm asking that you please think more about the people that are trying to take care of our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to our, if anybody has 3-minute speaker, please state your name and print your name and address on the tablet provided at the podium. Is there anybody who would like to speak for 3 minutes? Anybody would like to speak for 3 minutes? Okay. Any reports of the committees and liaisons? Ms. McNair?
I just want to say thank you to all the people who came on Saturday to our Better Together, and all the people that volunteered, all of the teachers and administrators and everyone who took their time out to volunteer, and Jay for stopping through and talking to the people that came. Although we didn't have the best turnout, we did have some families who came and they really enjoyed themselves, and we'll continue to do the Better Togethers in order to empower the students and family of the district, and I just want to say thank you again.
Thank you. John? I think voice vote still.
I move we approve the report of committees.
Can I have a second, please? Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spiegel, voice vote. Everybody in favor, say yea.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? There's no unfinished business. We move on to new business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we approve agenda items 5, 6, and 7, those categories being the new business of the school district, the school district supplemental, and the career and vocational technical new business.
Do we have a second? Second. Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spiegel. Roll call, please.
Ms. Shenley? Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Yes. Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Mr. Petrunker?
Yes. Approval of minutes of the meeting minutes for February 18, 2015, as attached electronically to the agenda. Voice vote. Everybody in favor, say yea.
We need a motion, Frank.
Pardon me?
We have a motion?
Oh, motion, I'm sorry.
I move we approve them.
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spiegel. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Bills and payroll.
I move we approve them for payment as presented.
Mr. Harkins approves. Mr. Spiegel, second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Shenley? Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Yes. Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Yes. Mr. Petrunker?
Yes. Report of the superintendent.
Thanks, Mr. Petrunker. Well, it's interesting. I didn't arrange for Mr. McDonald and Mrs. Tate to make the presentations they did during the hearing of citizens today, but it does fall right in line with what I wanted to discuss. And that is Governor Tom Wolf's proposed budget for the coming year. Governor Wolf has recognized and agreed with the sentiments that were expressed here tonight that our local property taxpayers are unfairly shouldering too much of the burden of funding public education. In his, what most of the press accounts have called a bold proposal for the upcoming Pennsylvania budget, he has made education his #1 priority, loud and clear. And it's extremely encouraging to those of us on the school board and in school administration, as well as our teachers, and it should be to all of our parents. And I think in the unique way that he's proposed funding, enhanced school district funding, I think our taxpayers who aren't parents of students should be likewise encouraged. What Governor Wolf has proposed is changing the way we fund public schools by taking the pressure off of the residential property taxpayer and doing a couple of different things to compensate for that revenue. One of which is to introduce a separation tax on gas and oil drilling. It's a controversial subject, but it's certainly one that's been discussed and proposed by both parties. The other is shifting the share of tax used to fund public education from property tax to an income tax and sales tax. So that's a matter of big controversy, and that's what our legislators will be arguing over in Harrisburg now, between now and when the budget is ultimately approved. It is in fact bold. It's change. And some of the initial reactions of the opposing political party in Harrisburg have been predictable, sort of resistant to the notion of changing our taxation within the Commonwealth. But it's not a new proposal. There have been various iterations of bills that have proposed just this sort of restructuring of tax funding for schools going back for over a decade. But this governor has come out of the chute ready to actually impose change, and so I'm hopeful that people will give this serious consideration, that we'll have a civil and thoughtful debate about this critical issue. It is unfair, especially in cities like ours that have an eroding tax base, whose citizens make less per capita than their neighbors in the surrounding townships, who are funding at a disproportionate level the operations of the school district. In our own district, about 60.5% of our funds come from state basic education funding and other state sources, like special ed funding. 35% of our funds come from local taxpayers. Now, if you think about that in terms of overall share, 35% coming from property taxes and the rest coming from our state taxes, that means that when we have a big budget gap because of our increasing costs, our only way to raise revenue is to go to that 35% and ask to make up the entire difference. And as has already been pointed out by two speakers this evening, that's not fair and it's not sustainable. I had a conversation with some of the folks at the county who fear that it's not just our folks who are retired or on fixed incomes or who are struggling with poverty. It's everybody in the city. It's people that have quite expensive homes that are assessed at a high value and taxed at an extremely high value, that'll have a very, very difficult time selling their homes because of the tax burden. So it goes across all levels within the city in terms of the burden that is imposed on people. So I want to make it really clear. The course that the district has charted and that the board has approved for our preliminary budget does include the possibility of a tax increase. But the board has been extremely clear with me and to a person has indicated their desire to balance this budget without going yet again to the local taxpayer. I just want to reiterate that, that we've been given guidance to try to balance our budget without resorting to a tax increase. And we will do that to the greatest degree we can. But it's going to require help from those folks that provide over 60% of our funding in Harrisburg. And under the leadership of this new governor, I'm extremely encouraged that we have a fighting chance. So I really encourage you to follow this debate, participate in it, encourage your legislators to work with the governor to find solutions to the challenges that we're facing. And I say join with him, join with us in that belief that education is the key not just to our individual students finding better lives, but our overall Pennsylvania and Erie economies improving because of a more skilled workforce, because of people who are better educated to be thoughtful and productive citizens of our city and our state, and just because it's the right thing to do to preserve our democracy. If our people are ignorant, they'll fall for anything. History has proved this time and time again. The greatest way to ensure that we have a viable citizenry, an engaged group of people who understand how government works and understand the importance of being engaged in their community, comes from education. And I'm really, really encouraged and extremely optimistic hearing what Governor Wolf has said so far, hearing what his newly appointed Secretary of Education has said, that we're on the right track. That concludes my report.
I move we accept the report of the superintendent.
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spagel. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Report to the secretary.
Move we approve that.
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spiegel. Roll call, please.
1 second, I got to catch up with you.
Sorry.
Ms. Shenley? Yes. Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Yes. Mr. Fabrizi? Yes. Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Yes. Mr. Petrunger?
Yes. There are no awards on bids. Any other board matter for discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Fabrizi.
I just want to reiterate what the administration just brought forth and speak to both of the speakers that spoke this evening and what Mr. McDonald said, that they should be out the door as far as when it comes to the property tax being unfair way to fund the education. And that's exactly what Governor Wolf, as Dr. Badams stated, that's exactly the way Governor Wolf feels about it. So what this comes down to is that for years, many, many years ago, and I've been around too long, but anyway, many, many years ago, the state did subsidize the school district on a more proportionate way. And at one point, they cut it and put it towards those property taxes, which was wrong, and it was wrong at that time, and it's been wrong for many, many years, and it's finally being addressed. And so what I'm asking everybody out there, not just the people that came to speak to this evening, but everybody out there to talk to your legislator, to write letters in support of Governor Wolf's budget and make sure that this happens, because what this man has done, or what this guy has done, is he's taken the ideas that had to be put forth to change exactly what you're talking about. People that are paying property taxes that are on fixed incomes, and like he said, it's not just people on fixed incomes. We're losing people that they're moving out of the city, so that because of the taxes, and that has to change. The property tax is not the way to fund education. And so in the end, all I wanted to say is, get pumped up about it and make sure that you let Governor Wolf know and all the legislatures know that you support this budget, you support the way that they're talking about funding education in a different way, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Can I get a motion?
I move we adjourn.
Mr. Harkins, Mr. Spiegel. Thank you.